Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to Airbrushing for Beginners, your next stage. So you've been practicing your lines, your dots, your dagger strokes. You've got your paint consistency dialed in. You've got your air pressure dialed in. What do you do next? Because people always ask, what's the next exercises to do? Well, once you've mastered your dagger strokes, your lines, your dots, and sort of your shading on them different sort of techniques, backing away with the brush, and you're just creating what looks to you like a mess. You then start to move on to your artwork and picking pieces of artwork. Now you're seeing in that little thumbnail loads of different pieces of artwork, from grayscale through to colour, from sort of semi-easy up to really like sort of photorealistic. You don't jump into like photorealistic work straight off the bat, you really don't, and you don't over challenge yourself. It's good to try and progress quickly, but they always say don't run before you can walk. Now, I'd recommend on your artwork stages, when you start to move into your artwork, is start painting in one tone and in a transparent. This will get you your speed up. You'll start to speed up painting in a transparent because you're working in one colour. So it's just one colour in the brush. And what working in a transparent will do for you is it will learn you how to shade in that one colour, going darker and building your layers up, instead of just going and try and pick loads of colours and you just wallop colours down too heavy too quick. If you're working a transparent, what we're going to do today, you'll just see me sort of build it up lightly and go over and over to bring them tones up and darker. Now, good things to do as well is when you're working in sort of one colour and going around a piece of artwork, you start sort of layering it up sort of lightly as you work round. Now, ways you can go about to stop you going too dark too quick is working all your sort of light areas and then just slightly move over to a real dark area and drop a dark area in. Like round here, we've got some of the hair around here, and drop a dark area in, and then you'll see what your tones are like on your face. I'll do this with portraits. You'll see me sort of jump round. And I'll put sort of the skin tone or a monotone, I'll put the light pieces in, then I'll move to a dark section and I'll drop the real dark in, as far as it will go and as much as you need to do it. So it's like, if it's a black, drop the black in there, and then you can look across and you can see what that tone's like next to it, because you might have gone too light, or if you've gone too heavy, you'll notice by that dark tone. So dropping a dark tone and bouncing from dark to lights and putting them in place, you can then gauge on how much you need to put in, instead of just going black, and just, you can drop all the darks in, the blacks in if you want. If you're doing this on a mask, you could shield this, cut all the darks out like the silhouette parts and spray them in. You can do that. And then you can start working your lights, or you can start working all your lights and then just put, how I'd say, sort of drop a dark in next to it, and you can gauge. It's entirely up to you, but it's all practice. But I think going in a transparent, working a transparent, a monochrome, start practicing that. Master that, because that's going to get your shading techniques really sort of honed in. And working smaller as well. Start working your pieces of artwork really small, and then bring them up and then go back to small, go back to big. Because you'll find working small, you're right on the trigger, homing in on them little details. When you work bigger, you've got a lot more room to work with, you really have. It's like if you was doing this bigger, the eye's probably the size of a 50p piece, probably a bit smaller. If you was to blow this up to A3, that eye is now going to look this big. So you've got a lot more room to work with. So when you're holding your shields up, you've got loads of room to gauge and work round, and you can see where all them pieces are. When you start coming down on artwork, you're really working on minimal trigger. And that's where I think you'll see where people, if they've got their trigger homed in, it's the guys that can work right down on real tiny details. It really is. They're the guys that have got the triggers dialed in. They really are, because you're working minimal trigger, minimal paint permanently, right up close. So we'll move in. We're going to paint this one in a smoke black, and I've got a Mars black, just to real darken things out when I need to. But I'm just literally going to go around this, use the shields, my set of shields, for the sharp edges, and it's a picture of like Mario, the head of Mario, sort of leaning forward, and it's in like a, I'd say like a grayscale, not a grayscale, like a black and white. That's why I've chose the smoke black, because we can go in and we can achieve that light tone with it, build it up to its darkest we can get it, and then we can just move into the Mars black, drop the Mars black in, and that'll do that. And then we've got, if we want to create highlights, just use a paint pen. Daler Rowney FW Mixed Media Marker on the fine tip, and you can just drop the point highlights in, instead of trying to worry and keep your overspray and everything away from your little dot highlight. We can spray over that and just drop them in as we go along. So there's no need to stress on highlights and bright highlights. Use your paint pens. Job done. All the tools in the box, guys, and that's what it's about. It makes your life easier. So let's move in. Let's crack on Mario. Right, guys, the first thing you've got to do is test your paint. I've got the iWater fixed, HPSB Plus. I stuck a new, well, not new, I had a spare 02 nozzle and needle, so it's really nice to work with. Absolutely love this brush. Trigger's nice and low, really soft, accurate, does the job. Loads of clearance and loads of view, what you do. So I'm just going to start in on this ear and just, I think I need some more air actually. I'm just going to puff a bit of paint in here and bring this down. Like that. Get your shields on the ready. I'm just going to go in light like this. You can see how light I'm going. And just, we'll move on to this piece of the hair next. So we're going to shield that off. Now it's got some little air textures, so I'm just going to do little random squiggles like that. In here. Coming down on this part of the face here, a little sharp line here, sharp here, sharp there. This is a great one to work around with shields. Just going to dust a bit up there, like that. Go a little bit darker on that. Like that, just build it up. I am running out of air because this paint's going a little bit grainy. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to see what these are going to... So I can knock the pencil lines out, like that, the ones that I don't want. Not a problem. Now I'm using, on this smoke black, this is Wicked, and it's mixed with the 4021 reducer, 50-50. So I've got the little bottle and just half paint, take the rest up to the top, so half and half, 50-50, smoke black, so it's a thin mix. I'm just going to stick the compressor on, I'll see you in a minute. That's better, we've got some more air. So running around, I'm around 25 in this. You will find different brushes. You can stick 25 psi in one brush with a bigger needle and nozzle and it'll be fiercer. When you come onto like a 02 side feed, it will be softer, so you've got to up your pressure a bit. So this will atomise a lot better now and be a lot easier to work with. We're going to move on to this part of the nose. So you've got a dark here, so just shield it and blend into this side. Like that, just drop a tone in round here, like that. And we've got some hair textures, so these are just random from dark to light. So I'm just going to do little dagger stroke passes in here. Like that, and just do some little shapes. I've got sort of guidelines to follow. They're just squiggles. When I projected this up, you're just looking at little squiggles. You just follow the way they go. That's all you've got to do, and put them darker areas in where they are. Little lines, leaving gaps like that, and you'll create the look of like a little hair texture. That's all you've got to do. This is quite sharp here, so just look for your sharp edges and your soft edges. This is quite black here, so we'll just darken that out. Same here. We're going to go back over this with darker tones. This is like your first pass. That's what I mean by it's good to work in a transparent. This is really thin. You can see that. See how thin that is? Very, very thin. Let's do a little bit under here. Gets you working minimal trigger. Working small will get you working. I'm just going to put a tone under here. Dagger stroke on and off the trigger, point to point, under the nose. A few little squiggles and darks here. A little bit of a bogged out bit here. And there. Like that. You can just drop this side here on that part of the eye and just puff a bit of paint there. Same there. Sharpen that up and puff a bit of paint there. Like that. So we've got this side in, that bit there. We're going to come down to this part of the chin. So there's a hard crease here. So just hold your shield up and just drop a bit in there. And then back away with your brush. Dagger strokes on and off the paint. Coming round. Like that. A bit darker under there. A bit darker under here. This will get you sketching with your brush. Let you go in nice and light. See, I went over that bright white line there, but I don't mind that. If I've gone over just here, but we can posca that back in later because it's really bright, so I'm not worried about that. I've got a bright one coming down here. Doesn't matter. We'll move on to this part of the eye. Got a little bit of darks in, so you're working minimal trigger. This is such a nice brush to work with. Full visibility. And I'm sort of working around about 10mm off the paper. Minimal paint and just sketching with a brush. Darker in there. Right around with your shield. Like that. just work around in little sections, like move to the next bit here. Just look at what you've got, where you've got to put the paint, and just fog the paint in. Around this eye. Just work around with your shield. Like that. On the centre again. Paint the shapes, fill in the gaps, paint the shapes, put the right darks and lights in them areas, and you'll be good. That's all you've got to do, just work around. Something like that around there. And to steady yourself, put your hand on your paper. Steady your brush and just move with that hand like that. And do sort of a pass first, so you can see where you're going. You get the feel of that movement before you commit. Nothing worse than trying to go in and go straight the way and do that line. Just do a pass first, rock with the brush, and then commit to it. Like that. Do a little bit of shading there now. Start coming in on this. Now this is just dark round here. So we're just going to dagger strokes on and off. A little bit of too much there. See that? It bled through. It don't matter because we've got to go a lot darker, so you're going to cover that. If you get little blowouts like that in the darker areas, it doesn't matter because you're going back over the top. A little bit of fill that in. A little crease there. Fill that in. This sort of like fuzzy edge around here. And we've got some textures in here, so I'm just going to fog a little bit in. A couple of lines like that. Fog this in. Again, it's bleeding out because it's really thin, but it's in a dark area, so it doesn't matter. You're going to go back over that with a darker colour. A little bit around here. Chuck a bit of paint in there. A little bit here. Like that. You've got a little crease line here. Another one that comes down like that. Softer here. Right, we've got that bit in. See how I'm just going in light And now I can just remove some of these pencil lines. Like that. Just get rid of them. Like that. One here I can get rid of now. Once you've got the bits in place, just have a look back round, and if there's any bits you want to get rid of, you can just erase them off. So just keeping it nice and light. I'm going to come down this. This top's got like a, grab a shield. It's got like a dark edge here. I'm just going to drop this shield in here, like that. It's got a little dark edge. Just going to put a bit of paint in like that, and then just do some random sort of like, look at the pattern that you're looking at. These are like little dots, creating like a fluffy effect for a top. Just do loads of little dots. I'm around sort of 10-15 mil off the paper. And just creating like that fluffy type dot. And that'll do for the texture of that. It looks like what's on the image. Soft. Here we've got some sort of weird shape. I think this is like a buckle, so just nice and light, sketch it. Like that. And we've got a crease here, so just keep it light, bit of colour. Backing off with a brush. Like that. And we'll get the eraser. Just knock out them lines. There's like a real soft sort of creased shape here. Just look at the shape. Just go in light. That'll do for that bit. Keep it light. Probably a little bit darker here. Just building this up with little dots. Nothing fancy. We've got a dark here. Chuck a bit of painting over bled, see it? Look at that, smearing it around. Doesn't matter. Because we're going to go darker. You can lose that and blend it all in. Bit of tone under here. Like that. Tidy that little mistake up there. Blend that one across. Darken that up. Right, there's some little sort of squiggly lines here. These are just little lines coming down. Little dagger strokes. You're just creating the look of the edge of a top. like that, and do a little pass at the bottom of it onto this dark edge here. Little squiggly lines like that. It's going to be darker there. This now I'm going to be jet black here. I've got some little fluffy textures again, so same as what you did here. You're on and off the trigger. I'm sort of doing that and just on and off the trigger, then just bouncing the brush around to create like a soft texture. Just giving it the look of that fluffy material. Bouncing the brush around like this will give you them dark spots where it's sort of up and down. Dark light, dark light. Literally just creating that look, so to the eye when you look at it, it looks like what it's supposed to. We'll sharpen these up with a darker colour next. I'm just going to continue that fluffy texture along here. So it's great to work in one colour because this is just like come together really quick because you're just sketching. Sketching with a brush. Onto this one, so this is like a little bit of black here. Line. There's some just soft shading around it, just puff a bit of painting around that, a little bit on here. Like that. Alright, moving up to this side, we've got the same again. We've got the. I'm going to continue up this side and just keep working this one in. That's I'm going to be leaning too much across the camera. Back onto this bit on the hair, just do a dark pass in here. It's going to go a lot darker. Drop a bit under that hat. I'm just going to keep this really loose. Again, you're doing that fluffy texture for the hat. Literally just pulsing the trigger. I've got the trigger down. Once you get the paint like that, just start, keep the paint on and just flick the brush around. And bounce the brush closer and further away, just with the paint on. It can give you that look that you're after. Just took a bit of paint under there. So I'm not mirror matching it, don't have to. As long as you get most of the key areas in place, your textures can look different, doesn't matter. It's just end up beating yourself up because you've not got the textures in the right place. Now you've got some sort of lines. This is like on this, you've got loads of little lines, so I'm just going to put them in like that. Loads and loads of little lines. And then just a little bit of paint over. And then go back into that fluffy texture again. Here. Bouncing on the brush. Sort of bouncing minimal trigger and just like that. Like that. Just a little dark pass in here. We can shield that because that's quite a sharp edge. So just come up from the shield like that. A few more little random squiggles, lines again. Round and round here. Like I say, I'm not matching every line, I'm just looking, yeah, there's some lines in there, let's just drop some lines in, you know. Because once it's finished, it'll all come together. Dark up here. Painting. Like that. Got quite a dark bit here. Shield that and just bang some paint in there. I'm just going to let it bleed out. Like that, it'll dry back. I'm going to go a lot darker in there anyway. Round to this ear and just darken this up now. Once you've gone round in that tone, then you start adding and darkening. Because you're working really light. And you'll see where it's got to go darker. Just build it up. I mean, this here is going to go jet black. Dropping this jet black will make that nose come forward. Dropping this darker here will sink that round and make this look more rounded. setting the eyes dark. Now looking at your artwork after you've gone into this tone, you go, yeah, we've got to go darker there, got to go darker in the eye, darker on this hair, under the cap, darker on these pieces here. You just build it up. It's the beauty of working in a transparent one tone. You just keep adding and adding and adding with the one tone, because then you can just keep darkening it. But what I'll do is I'll just go in with I'll just go in with a black, thinned out black, and just build it up. Now let's whiz the rest of this bit out here. It's the same again, we're going to drop some paint around here. I'm not worried about these lines. A bit dark there. This is going to go dark here. And on the beard again, so just random lines. Just follow the shape that they're going to go. Bit of a tash. Little dagger strokes on and off the trigger. Like that. And it will speed you up. Painting in one colour like this, really light, thinned out, will speed you up in case you're working that trigger. Right, we've got a shadow coming under here, so just hold that and just, that's a bit of paint, a bit more paint in there. Don't overfill your cups. Like that. Got dark here. Coming down. That's a sharp, so just shield it. Like that, a little bit of a blowout on the face, doesn't matter. We can sort that out. That puffy type texture again along here. Get your paint on. Just create a random pattern. Darker there. Chuck a bit of paint in there. Right, onto this ear. Shield. A little bit in there. Chuck a bit in there. That's going to come round dark here. A little bit of random texture again here. Just doing some, see the blowout then? Not worried, because I know we're going to go darker. A bit around on this ear. Coming round. Darker, a little bit there. that. Do. Drop a few more little lines in. That'll do. A little bit of a squiggle for that bit. Like that. Great one to practice on, these types of images. Great as a warm-up piece. Just going to fill that in freehand. A little bit of line in here. That'll do. So you've sort of sketched it out in one tone. Now what we can do is go in again with the eraser and just knock out any lines we don't want. This just cleans it up. Let's get rid of these now. Like that. Any that you don't want to see. Back in. Top of that here, that comes around a bit darker here. And this is where you just start to really you can go in and just start to detail it up, you know, with your next tone going in and sharpening things up. Darker under here. Tint over that. So if you go over your highlights on the dot highlights on the eyes now, it doesn't matter. Posca these at the end and it'll just make them pop where you need that real sharp highlight. On that nose. I'm just going to come over that nose there as well. Like that. Just darken this in here a bit. Same here. Like that. Sharpen around there. A little bit of shading on that edge there. And you can just see how I've built this up, you know. This will go a lot darker here. Keep building it up. Darkening it out. All the textures are in nice and quick. A bit more fluffy pattern there. And that would be how you'd sort of sketch it out in the smoke black, and then you could move on to your this is a thin mix again. Might add to that. Let's get some more Mars black. And we'll just darken that out. A little bit of a back bubble. Like that, we can just start to darken things out a bit now. This is where you'll start to really pop things backwards and forwards. By putting the next sort of tone in. I'm just going over where you previously put the paint, but just going that shade darker now and setting it back. And just see how it pops it forward. The image starts to go, whoop, just pop sort of forward a bit more. Like that, just bring that shadow over here. A little bit there. Darken some bits back. Onto that part here. Again, you're just creating patches now of black. Little squiggles over the top, and it'll just give you that look of hair then, because you've got that tone underneath. And look, just that little bit. Random shapes again, just follow the way they sort of go. Like that. Sharpen that up. Like that, just do some little random. So just setting that back with that darker tone makes a big difference. Just go a little bit more under there, a little bit in here, like that. And just work it around like that, so that's like your next tone. So then you would come up in here, you put the sharp of the shield on and just start to pop that, set that back, like that. In here, do a line up there, a couple of little lines coming out. Same here, you just bring that one round, continue that because the maroon is permanently black up there. And you just add in. You just build it up like that. If you wanted to keep this really, really sharp, you could use masking on this. You could mask things out to sharpen things up. I mean, this is just sort of freehand with a shield, you know, just a sketching with a brush. But you can see how it's sort of coming together, and that's all you've got to do, guys. You've just got to build it up like that, taking it nice and light. As I say, to drop your highlights in, you can just sharpen these up. With a Posca, really pop them forward, like that. Same here, you can just drop it in, like that, where you see them real sharp highlights. And just have a play. That's what it's about. Give it a go. Like that. That'll do. You can see how it's just coming together. Just building it up like that slowly. Comes together. If you do get stuck with your line work, pencil, and really sharpen things up, you know. Don't worry about using a pencil, because you can. And you can drop your real darks in like that, and then you can just dust over with the airbrush and set it back. Because these Caran d'Ache pencils are brilliant for putting in a real nice matte finish, then you can just blend in with the airbrush over the top. Like that. You can really detail it out just by adding little bits. Going in with the pencil, going in with the airbrush, tweaking it. A few more little whiskers coming out. Detail it, make it your own. Add to it. So there you go, guys. Mario, sort of, if you go around that sort of way and just work it light, sketch it in, and then just start to sharpen things up, add the bits with the Posca, add the bits of the pencil, and I could keep working this, say for like another 40 minutes. We could really start to punch this forward and sharpen it up just by going in, you see, just dropping that next tone in, started just to darken things out and brings forward and set things back, and then you pop your highlights in, which makes it pop forward, and just work it in one tone. Smoke black, or in the new set of paints that I'm releasing, you're going to get a shading grey, which will work great in this. It'll work like that, it'll go down really nice. And then I worked in the Mars black, which is the aquafine, and just drop that in and just start working that tone in, and just keep going round and round and just bringing it forward and bringing it forward. And as I say, you can use masking for this. You could project this up and you could mask out this area here. You could mask out the eyes, so they're really razor sharp, but I wanted to keep it a little bit soft and just add a few sharps in there, soft and sharps, not too clinical sharp everything, you know, it just can look too much. So just a few sharps in there, softs, and I think it just makes it for a better image. So have a go at your monotone next, when you want to, after you've done your practicing with your dagger strokes and things like that, jump onto a piece of black and white. You'll really enjoy it, and you'll really sort of hone your skills in, and you will really, as I say, enjoy painting in one colour. I love painting in one colour. I prefer to paint in one colour than sit and do sort of colour. I can do colour, just takes me that little bit more longer process, and it's not as enjoyable as painting in one tone or just two tones, you know. So I hope you enjoyed it. Drop your comments, tell me your thoughts. Remember at the end of your lesson to clean your brush out. Give it a good clean, don't leave any paint in it, because the UK, it's warming up at the minute and your paint will weld to your cups, it really will. So a bubble back, tip out, blast your excess in your cleaning pot. Or I usually blast the excess bit of cleaner onto the brush, onto the paper towel, and then just wipe the brush down. Job done. So thanks for watching. Drop your comments, tell me your thoughts. Links in the description to the paint that I'm using. It won't be for the, I'll leave a link for the Wicked Smoke Black if you wanted to use that, but I'll hang on for our shading grey that we're going to release, because it'll be a better colour and it'll flow better than that. The Mars Black's on the Aquafine. I'll leave the link in that for the Aquafine set. You can pick them up, stick print paint. And yeah, enjoy your day. See you in the next one.